What if the real breaking point in the Annie Guthrie case never happened during testimony at all, but in the exact moment the judge uttered one sentence that allegedly sent the entire courtroom into silent chaos? Because tonight, multiple supposed insiders are now claiming Tommaso Cioni may have secretly started planning an exit strategy the instant he realized the trial was no longer going to stay hidden behind courtroom walls. Yeah, seriously. The second the judge reportedly announced, "This trial will be televised," witnesses claim the energy inside the room shifted from controlled legal procedure into something far more dangerous. People weren't just nervous anymore. They were panicking. According to several viral accounts spreading across social media, Tommaso allegedly froze for a split second, stopped focusing on the judge completely, and began scanning every possible exit like a man calculating how fast he could disappear before the cameras ever rolled. One courtroom observer even described the moment in terrifying detail. "It didn't look like someone preparing for defense," they allegedly said. "It looked like someone realizing the walls were finally closing in." Wait, what? And somehow the situation only became darker from there. Because minutes after the televised ruling, rumors immediately exploded online claiming emergency travel concerns, sealed communications, and unusual private security activity allegedly started unfolding behind closed doors. Coincidence? Or did somebody inside that courthouse know public broadcasting was about to reveal something much bigger than anybody was prepared for? Right now, the internet is completely melting down over it. Some people are convinced Tommaso is innocent and being publicly sacrificed for ratings. Others believe he allegedly panicked because Annie Guthrie's upcoming testimony could expose individuals far more powerful than anyone originally imagined. But then came the theory that truly terrified people. What if televising the trial was never about transparency at all? What if the entire broadcast was designed as a controlled detonation, where certain secrets were intended to surface in a very specific order? Because according to one anonymous source, moments before the courtroom atmosphere allegedly spiraled into panic, Tommaso supposedly whispered a sentence now spreading online like wildfire: "If those cameras turn on, everything falls apart." Everything? What exactly was he talking about? And why are insiders suddenly claiming courthouse security stopped behaving like ordinary officers and started acting more like a lockdown response unit preparing for impact? Tonight, we are breaking down the alleged escape fears, the sealed courtroom drama, the viral leak theories, and the question consuming every platform online right now: what was Tommaso Cioni so terrified the world would finally see? The moment those courtroom doors reportedly slammed shut, people online instantly sensed this case had crossed into dangerous territory. Because according to multiple alleged witnesses inside the building, the entire mood surrounding Tommaso Cioni changed immediately after the judge approved televised coverage of the Annie Guthrie trial. And we are not talking about ordinary courtroom tension anymore. We are talking about the kind of atmosphere that makes veteran court officers suddenly whisper into radios while reporters outside refresh their phones like they are waiting for a national emergency alert. One courthouse observer allegedly described the scene perfectly: "It felt like someone inside that room knew the cameras were about to uncover something never meant to become public." And honestly, that single sentence may explain why the internet is completely spiraling right now. Because only minutes after the televised decision, rumors began spreading that Tommaso Cioni allegedly stopped acting like a man preparing for legal defense and started acting like someone racing against time. According to online speculation, he reportedly began asking questions that had almost nothing to do with the case itself and everything to do with exposure. Questions like, when does the live feed start? Who controls the opening broadcast? What footage goes public first? Excuse me. Why would somebody be more concerned with the sequence of exposure than the actual testimony itself? That detail alone detonated conspiracy theories across the internet overnight. One viral post on X exploded after a supposed insider claimed, "This stopped being about guilt the second people became terrified about what gets revealed first." And suddenly the Annie Guthrie trial stopped looking like a courtroom battle and started feeling like a ticking bomb waiting to detonate live on television. Now for anyone just catching up, here's where things allegedly become even messier. Before this televised chaos erupted, Tommaso Cioni reportedly maintained the image of a man who was impossible to shake: calm, private, calculated. People close to the situation allegedly described him as somebody who always stayed 10 steps ahead of everyone else in the room. But according to courthouse whispers, that image reportedly started cracking the moment revised testimony connected to Annie Guthrie began resurfacing behind closed doors. And trust me, social media has not stopped obsessing over those revisions, because insiders claim Annie's updated statements allegedly match details from previously buried records tied to financial disputes, private communications, and undisclosed meetings that were never expected to reappear publicly. One anonymous legal assistant allegedly told a blogger, "It felt like pieces of the past suddenly started reconnecting themselves." Reconnecting themselves. Yeah. That's exactly the kind of sentence that sends conspiracy TikTok into complete cardiac arrest. Then came the alleged sealed evidence situation. According to several unverified online reports, courthouse staff reportedly noticed unusual activity days before the televised ruling was officially announced. Restricted hallways were allegedly being monitored. Late-night legal meetings supposedly increased. Certain filings connected to Annie Guthrie's testimony were reportedly moved under tighter security access. Normally, that kind of thing wouldn't even make headlines. But this case, nothing about it feels normal anymore. One journalist covering the courthouse even posted, "I've covered corruption investigations, celebrity scandals, and murder trials. I have never seen this level of fear surrounding a televised hearing." And that fear allegedly exploded the second Tommaso realized cameras would be entering the courtroom. Witnesses claim he reportedly shifted repeatedly in his seat, stopped communicating naturally with his legal team, and kept glancing toward side exits during discussions, not the front entrance, the restricted exits. That detail alone immediately triggered even more online speculation that something massive was unfolding behind the scenes. One viral live stream commentator literally paused mid-broadcast and asked, "Why does this feel less like a trial and more like somebody trying to contain a disaster before the public sees it?" Exactly. Because that's the atmosphere this case keeps creating. Not justice. Not clarity. Containment. And then came the detail that truly pushed the internet over the edge. A supposed courthouse source claimed private security around certain legal offices allegedly intensified shortly after televised approval became official. No explanation. No emergency announcement. Just more guards, more radios, more restricted access points. At that point, social media completely detonated. Hashtags like Tommaso escape, Annie trial, and courtroom lockdown started trending within hours as people desperately tried piecing together what was really happening inside that building. Some users became convinced Tommaso was allegedly preparing to flee before damaging testimony aired publicly. Others argued the exact opposite. They believed he wasn't afraid for himself at all. They thought he was terrified about who else could allegedly be exposed once Annie Guthrie's statements reached a televised audience. And honestly, that theory may be why this story feels so dangerously addictive. Because the deeper this situation allegedly goes, the less it feels centered around one man. It starts feeling layered layers of hidden conversations, buried timelines, revised stories, and powerful people quietly panicking behind polished courtroom appearances. One anonymous account claiming ties to courthouse staff posted something that instantly went viral. They stopped treating this like a legal proceeding the moment the cameras got approved. Read that again. Not after evidence surfaced. Not after a verdict. After the cameras. That tiny detail completely shifted the public narrative. Suddenly people started asking a much darker question. What exactly is so dangerous about visibility? And why did the atmosphere inside the courthouse allegedly shift from controlled confidence into emergency-level tension the second broadcasting entered the picture? But just when the speculation already seemed impossible to top, another rumor surfaced, and this one threw social media into total chaos. According to multiple circulating claims, Tommaso allegedly requested urgent clarification regarding international travel restrictions shortly after the televised ruling became official. Wait, travel restrictions? Why would that suddenly matter? No public records confirming the request have surfaced, but that didn't stop online commentators from instantly transforming the story into a full-blown escape theory. One viral creator dramatically posted, "You don't ask about travel unless you're thinking about disappearing." And just like that, the narrative exploded again. Suddenly everyone online was asking the same terrifying question: was Tommaso Cioni really preparing to flee before the cameras went live? Or was someone deliberately trying to make him appear guilty before the trial even began publicly? Because here's where the story becomes horrifyingly complicated. According to another alleged insider, the real fear inside the courthouse wasn't whether the public would watch the trial, it was whether the public would begin connecting names once certain testimony became impossible to hide. And if that's true, then this may not even be a courtroom scandal anymore. This may be the beginning of a public exposure chain reaction nobody involved can stop once the broadcast finally begins. Every platform exploded. TikTok creators uploaded cinematic breakdowns of courthouse footage. X users dissected anonymous leaks frame by frame. YouTube commentary channels transformed into overnight investigative war rooms. And right at the center of the storm stood Tommaso, because according to multiple alleged insiders, the man who once appeared calm under pressure was now reportedly behaving like someone trapped inside a countdown he could no longer stop. One courthouse observer allegedly claimed, he wasn't reacting like a defendant anymore. He was reacting like someone waiting for impact. That single quote spread so fast online you would have thought Netflix accidentally leaked